Nobody up but me and the marmots. So it's 6 o'clock on day 2. It rained till about 8 o'clock last night. I think I'm not quite sure when the thunder stopped, but around 7:30 I dozed off, and then it was just coming down. I woke up at about 8:30 and the rain had stopped. Um, the tent's all wet and icy. There's condensation inside, so it's going to be an interesting, interesting day as I pack things up today. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish French for about an hour, and then I figure I've got maybe 5 to 7 hours of good weather. I'm going to start heading down to Puppet. I don't know if I'm going to fish the lakes in between. It's going to really depend on the weather. Look at this, ice on my waders. Well, I was toasty warm last night, so here comes the sun. Hopefully, I'll be able to get everything dried out, or somewhat dried out, before I pack up. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm going to fish, I think, for about an hour. I came down here earlier to pump water, and there weren't any active fish. But now, as I make my way down, I'm starting to see some fish taking dries. So, my plan originally was to head sort of to the left of my campsite so that I could fish up that part of the lake and then come back, grab my gear, and then fish down towards where I actually want to go later today. But you know, you don't pass up active fish. So I saw 1 or 2 rises, and I'll just sort of sit here and watch the water a bit and see if I can figure out what they're rising to. Now the water here seems a bit shallow, but you can see right out there, there's some rising fish, and maybe a better vantage point might be from that rock. I'm not seeing anything but midges, so what I think I'll do is I think I'll put on a parachute Adams. I forgot my fly floating up at my pack, so I'm gonna have to try to keep this fly pretty dry. Okay, so I'm seeing rises, but I'm not seeing fish, which makes me think that the fish that are rising over here are super, super tiny. Just as I thought, the fish over here are tiny. It's a nice little golden one. Right in the snout with the gold ribs hare's ear. They've stopped hitting the surface, and now they're in the shallows. I did catch that one that was about 4 inches, maybe 5 inches, on my hare's ear, and I promptly lost the hare's ear. So I'm gonna go back to camp, grab my gear. The other thing is this fly line that I picked up, this new fly line. This Rio single-handed spay isn't what I thought it was going to be. It looks like, you know, I really need to use spay techniques with it and aerialize the line as it's shooting out. The belly isn't as long as I had hoped, and I'm actually not able to roll cast as far with it as I am with my GPX line. It seems to be overpowering the tip a bit. So I think I'll keep that line in reserve, switch back to my GPX line, and you know, when I get home, I'll go out to the casting ponds and play around with it a little bit more and get better acquainted with it. I fished around the bank and didn't see any fish over 6 inches. I did some prospecting in what looked to be, you know, likely bigger fish water. Didn't catch anything bigger than you know, 4, 5, 6 inches there. So I'm gonna head to Steelhead. I have seen a lot of interesting bug life, hoppers, crickets, and size 14 black caddis. And you know, I forgot those black caddis were up here. If I had remembered, I would have tied up a whole bunch. But they're you know, they're a black caddis. It has a black wing with a black and orange body. They're really cool looking. If I'm reading the topo map correctly, Steelhead's right over there. The topo map makes it seem like it's easier to go this way and over, but looking at the terrain and all that fallen rock, I think I'm gonna head up this way and then go around this bluff and come down. And there are a couple lakes up there, so if I get close to those lakes, maybe I'll check them out while I'm there. So I've decided to detour to Little French Lake, which is that lake right there. So I'll just quickly walk this bank over to that bluff. Looks like it has a seasonal creek that connects to French, so who knows, could be fishing here. There are some smaller lakes just over this bluff. Okay, there's Lower Petite Lake, which means I'm on the right track. And it looks like there's an easy gradient down right on the other side of these rocks. Finally, Steelhead Lake. We're gonna fish here all the way to the outlet, and then we're gonna follow the outlet down to L Lake, and then from there I'm going to follow the backside of L over to Star, which I'll have to look at the map. That might be Star up there. Hopefully I can find a safe way down. From the treetops, it looks like going left is going to be my best option. Look at that water. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, that'll get me down. Okay, I'm down. That looks like as good a place as any to start prospecting. I can see there's a lot of submerged boulders, and it seems like an fairly even depth to about 40 or 50 feet. That's what I came down. So I swapped out my flies. I've put on a black version of the gold-ribbed hare's ear, and I've got a standard gold-ribbed hare's ear, size 20, as the dropper. I put on that black fly because I saw that black caddis, I saw the crickets. I'm not seeing any bugs down here yet, so you know, if they're used to seeing terrestrials drop in the water, then maybe that will get me something. I know they're in here. I just can't see them right now. I'm getting strikes. I'm getting strikes, but with the chop on the water, it's hard to see when they're happening, and so that just leaves me to being able to feel it, and they're striking very softly. So it's noon, which means it's Pop-Tart time. I've got cherry frosted Pop-Tarts today. I'm not seeing any larger fish. I'm still seeing the 6-inch fish, and they're charging my flies, and then they're rejecting them. The smaller ones are taking them, the bigger ones are rejecting them. So it just makes me wonder what's going on. If I'm fishing 4X and maybe they're leader shy, I don't quite know. Anyway, it's getting late, the temperatures have dropped, and clouds are starting to move in. Nothing significant, but enough that I should probably start making my way towards Puppet. So I was eating lunch, and a slightly bigger fish came by. So casted it out. Looks like it took my Callibatus nymph, so I switched to a Callibatus nymph right before lunch. That's not a bad golden. Ah. It's a beautiful fish. Okay, that is what I was looking for. So it's starting to get a little chilly. I'm gonna head down towards the outlet. So it's 1:45, and I'm gonna make my way down the outlet of Steelhead to L. I'm gonna make my way along the the far bank of L to puppet. I don't think I'm going to fish star today. Maybe I'll fish it another day, but I want to make sure I've got enough time to get to puppet by 3 o'clock. L Lake. So that's where I want to go, over that bluff. The topo map makes it look like it's an easy gradual grade going diagonally up and over. Looking at it, I'm not quite so sure, but we'll see when we get there. I'll fish my way around and then start gradually heading up that bluff. Oh, that looks like good water. Lots of weed beds. It's got a drop off there. So far I've caught 2 fish and I've seen a third. They're not any bigger than what I found at the other lakes. It certainly is a pretty lake. Where the inlet is sort of a marshy tarn, and it looks like a good bit of the lake is the same. There's plenty of fish in there, but they're smaller ones. Oh, there's a bigger one, I think. No, not as big as I thought. There we go. Come on. Pop. There we go. And there we go. Lots of active fish here, and they would take a dry. They're all coming up. If I can find some bigger fish, I'll cast to them, but I think I better get a move on. Okay. Still not looking any easier to me, but I think what I'll do is I'll make for that brown patch right there. It looks like it may not be too bad, and then it should be just down into puppet from there. Okay, I'm kind of seeing what looks like it could be a trail that kind of goes up this way and then goes across like that. I found what looks like a faint trail, so maybe I was right. Maybe there is a trail up there. I don't want to be right up on that bluff, so I think I'm going to come through here and then skirt to the right, and then I'll get on top of that small ledge and then work my way that way. You know, it looks like I can just go up this way and go up that way. It also looks dangerous, but once you're up there, you're at the top, and then you just go all the way across to puppet. So tempting, so dangerous. Those that know me know how much I hate climbing rock falls and talus. So what I try to do is I try to stay on these little tarny patches. That way I don't have to worry about anything sliding out from underneath me. It actually looks doable, going across there and then hopping over. And then there's that sand piece there. It looks a little steep, but that might be easier going. I think the dirt patch that I had initially planned to go over is on the other side of this bluff. But actually, I'm standing here. This looks really easy. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go up here. Now that looks really easy. If you go up that way, up through that, and then up and over. I'm hoping for when I get up here is just one big piece of granite or a big tarn, something. What do you know? A trail duck. Hey, just what I was hoping to see when I got up here. Yeah, baby. Whew. There's the pass over there. Star should be right there. And so what I'll do, instead of fishing Star now, I'll go down to Puppet and I'll set up camp. I'll fish Star tomorrow, fish Puppet this evening, and have that be my base camp for 2 or 3 nights. And then we'll see how the weather is, and we'll see how my mood is in terms of where I want to go. Miriam is a little bit off the beaten path, and by that I mean I have to go farther west to get to Miriam. And I don't know, we'll see how I feel at the end of the week, whether I want to put in the extra mileage. There's Star, and I'm pretty close. I don't know, it's almost a shame to be this close and not throw in a line. So cool. So yeah, I'm gonna throw a couple casts and then head over to Puppet. I'm not seeing any cruising fish, but I'll just throw about 3 casts and then I'll move on down to Puppet. Okay, first cast. Whoa! He's probably gonna break me off in these rocks. That's a strong fish. Nice, nice. That's a nice fish. It's a nice fish. Well, that's cool. Fish on the first cast, and geez, you know, in theory, you know, if do you leave when you're catching fish? No, you don't. So I think I'll throw in maybe a dozen more casts, see what happens. I made a few more prospecting casts in that section, and then walked the bank a little bit. Saw some smaller fish along the bank, presented to 1 or 2 bigger fish, got rejections. So I'm gonna head down to Puppet, set up camp. Finally, Puppet Lake. Wow, that's a big lake. So apparently it gets really windy, and the best place to set up camp is along these in these trees on this side of the bank. It's a big lake, you know. It's funny, the techniques that I use, they really lend themselves to small lakes, not so much big lakes like this, but we'll see. You know, they work on places like Huckleberry Lake, so it's just a matter of finding the fish, finding active fish. I'd happily pitch my tent somewhere if I could actually find a flat spot. I've walked around for what seems like 20 minutes, and this is the only halfway decent spot that I can find. Okay, it's 4:15, and I'm gonna head down to the lake and pump some water and maybe get some fishing in. It's hard to know whether there's going to be a storm coming in or not. This has been inching its way behind me, and that's over there, but nothing that looks super threatening yet. Hopefully, you know, if nothing happens in the next hour and a half, maybe it'll break up and be on its way. So much food and so little appetite. I don't know if I mentioned these before, but I bring along the Ricola and vitamin C tablets. The vitamin C tablets, the acidity from the vitamin C helps me stave off headaches, and the Ricola is basically for my throat. Because of the cold air, I get postnasal drip. So that's the end of day 2. It's about 8 o'clock, and I'm hanging out in my tent looking at the map, trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do over the next couple days. I think I'll probably spend an extra night here, but we'll see. In any case, hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for coming along.